If you think of what interests people have, there's a fellowship for it.
You share the same interest, you share the same hobby.
Photography is a fellowship, swimming is a fellowship. There's so many fellowships.
Within the last year or so, I've gained so much more Rotary friends through fellowship. The fellowship that I belong to is a cycling fellowship, and we're able to raise money for polio just by riding our bikes.
It's the fact of taking your passions, your hobbies, and making that into a service opportunity, into a social opportunity. We do learn to surf events for high school kids, beach cleanups, things like that. It's also attracted people who are into those types of events to seek out, what is Rotary about?
Rotary Friendship Exchange is an opportunity for you to visit new places, learn about cultures.
To be received with warmth and friendship, that is the ultimate travel experience in my mind.
You get to connect with a family there that will show you around. You explore things you never thought you would explore.
And also sometimes integrating local projects. Friendship exchanges are open to anyone.
It's something you can do with your friends, your family, your kids, better than a vacation. Hands down, best.
The great thing about a project fair is that it brings Rotarians from different parts of the world to one venue.
When they come, they are looking for projects that can help them to meet their club's goals.
The Rotary clubs offer different projects in different areas of focus.
The hosts put together project visits and other kind of tours.
People become friends, and friendship engenders trust.
The personal contact is the main purpose of a project fair.
ICC or intercountry committees are an important part for peace and friendship.
The intercountry committee operates between two countries.
And it's very important for Rotary to have this sort of experts to promote activities and relations between the two countries.
Projects are done by the clubs and not by the ICC, but they try to help them to do these projects.
Go beyond your borders and do your part to reach peace through service.
It's my honor to welcome to the MAP stage our Rotary International Director, Patrick Eakes. Take it away, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Andy. As a lot of you know, I'm a volunteer, just like you. I started out as my club's president a few years ago, then served as a district governor, and about 3 years back, I was elected to the Rotary International Board of Directors. I've had plenty of titles over the years, but through all of them, one thing has always bugged me. Here it is. Every year, we welcome about 150,000 new members into Rotary, and then we lose about 10% of them in that very first year, and almost half within 4 years. Now, why is that happening? That question has followed me from my club days all the way to the board table. And when I talk with other board members from across the Americas, guess what? They're seeing the same trend too. But here's the interesting part. Not every club has this problem. Some clubs are doing an amazing job of bringing new members in, making them feel welcome, and keeping them engaged for the long haul. And tonight, we're lucky enough to hear from 3 of those clubs. I heard these leaders speak just last week, and wow, they've got some terrific time-tested ideas about onboarding and engagement. So if you don't already have a pen and paper handy, grab one. You're going to want to jot down some of these ideas. To introduce our presenters, I'll now turn things over to John Spillman, a former governor and membership chair for District 7690, and now a key member of the Membership Action Plan team. John, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Patrick. As Patrick mentioned, we have 3 great speakers tonight who clubs have done an outstanding job of onboarding their new members. These new members are making a difference right away in their clubs and in their community. Each of these clubs has grown for at least 7 years straight. And a big part of that is they've kept their new members. Now, our first speaker is Dot Jager. Dot is a member of the Bluffton, South Carolina Rotary Club. And since 2018, they were at 73 members. And today, they're at over 115 members. And they've done that by losing very few members. In fact, their attrition rate is half of a normal club. Now, Dot's a native South Carolinian and a Clemson Tiger fan. Dot's been a little tough go this football season, but thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, John.
Now, Dot, you have a very unique prospective member process, and you call that a pathway to membership. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and has that helped you retain new members?
Yes, thank you, John. Our pathway to membership, we have a few requirements that we ask of the prospective member before they join the club. One of them is that we ask them to attend 8 meetings during this process as a prospective member. 2, we ask that they meet with the membership chair, and we want them to understand about Rotary's service above self commitment. We want them to understand our club expectations, our dues structure, and the volunteer opportunities that we have. We also ask them to do a little bit of work during this time before they actually join the club. So we ask them to assist our Sergeant at Arms for 1 or 2 meetings as they meet and greet our Rotarians as they come to the meeting. And we also ask them to participate in 2 service projects. Prior to becoming Rotarians, we have about 20 service projects that we do in the community throughout the year. So it's not hard to find one that will interest them. So we believe this strategy or this approach gives prospective members a complete understanding of our club during this process. It gives them a good impact a view of the impact we have in our community. And it also helps make sure they already have a connection within the club when they join.
Dot, I really like that. Now, once a prospective member becomes a member, you have a very robust mentorship process to help get members onboarded and engaged right away. Can you talk a little bit about how that process works in your club?
Sure. Once we have a new member, we assign that member a mentor, and the mentor will first ask the new member to sit with them during meetings, and they'll move around during week to week and sit at a different table so that they can meet more and more new members. So that's the first thing. We ask that the mentor work with the new member and get them engaged in service opportunities, service projects, and also any social events, and get them signed up for those. And then the mentor also goes through with the new member the different committees that we have and what the committees are about, so we can help find the right fit for that new member. And so bottom line is the mentor's focus is to get the new member fully engaged. And he does that, he or she does that by getting them on a committee, getting them out, working on some social events, interactions, and getting them a service type of project, so that we want them to feel genuinely part of the club and genuinely welcome in the club.
Dot, that's a great checklist for mentors. Now, you have a new satellite club in the last year, and it's grown very quickly. And you retain virtually every new member this year. What strategies or culture have you built to make that all possible?
Oh, thanks, John. We love the new satellite club. They're almost a year old since they actually got formed. And the thing about the satellite club is they all work together. They have this sense of ownership, and they all work together. Being a satellite club, we only have a chair and a secretary. You don't have the formal structure that you have in other groups, other clubs, where you have the board of directors and the committee chairs. So if somebody has an idea for a service project or fundraiser or speaker or anything like that, they just bring it up, and if everybody embraces it, they all work together to make it happen. So I think it's the sense of ownership with this new club and the excitement. You can feel the excitement when you come to a meeting. It's the excitement of being in this brand new club. Those 2 factors work together. So everybody that's in the club is happy and energized and excited to be part of the club.
That's wonderful, Dot. I love the ownership component and how you're keeping members connected from day one. Now we're going to move to our next speaker, Gene Blackwelder. Gene's a two-time president of Western Forsyth Club, where 7 years ago, the club had 14 members, and today it has more than 50. He's also home to one of the most successful satellite clubs in District 7690. Gene's a lifelong North Carolinian resident and a Wake Forest Demon Deacon. Gene, welcome and thank you for joining the program.
Thanks, John.
Now, Gene, one of the things that really stands out about your club is how welcomed and connected members feel right from the start. Can you talk a little bit about what you've done to create that culture and make that happen?
I sure can. Thank you, John. You know, for the last 7 years, we've been very aggressive about recruiting new members. And then we decided to become more intentional about onboarding our new members. And we do a couple things that work for us. The first thing is that we create a culture where new members are the most important people in our club. And we try to get them involved with the meetings and the other activities so that they feel genuinely welcome, whether they go to a meeting, a social, a service project. And our goal right from the beginning is to make them feel like they belong. The second thing is we use our membership chair to help with the onboarding. Our membership chair takes time to meet with every single member, and he asks them, why did you join Rotary? What are your interests? What's your passion? And what are your skills? And then we connect with them and assign them a committee or a special project that matches their interest so that they feel involved and valued right from the beginning.
Gene, I really like that. Making new members feel welcomed is really important. Now, we've got some clubs out there that are maybe struggling with onboarding. What's the one thing that's really helped your club that they could put into place right away to help their onboarding process?
John, Dot mentioned something similar to this. In our club, the sponsor of the new member plays an active and very important role in onboarding the new member and acclimating them to the club. The sponsor is charged with introducing them to all the other members, sharing information about our socials and our special activities so they feel like they know what's going on right from the beginning. And the idea is that by doing this, the sponsor tries to get them engaged and connected right in those first couple critical months.
You know, I think mentors make a big difference for sure. Now, you have an 18-member satellite club that over the last 4 years has lost very few members. You've gotten them really committed and engaged. Can you talk a little bit about how you've done that in the satellite club?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Right from the beginning, the satellite club was organized around like 3 pillars. We created a culture around these 3 things, and they were service, social connections, and golf. And the members have voted and taken ownership on 3 signature projects for the club, and their first tee, their a bed and a book, and then the Triad Go Far Triad 5K run. And over time, the members have changed, and we've tried to be very flexible with them in terms of meetings and the special projects. We've changed the meetings, we've tweaked some of the special projects, and we think that by doing this and being flexible and giving all the members a sense of ownership, that's what has kept them so interested and involved over the 4 years that they've been in activity.
Thanks, Gene. Really important ideas about welcoming and giving new members in a satellite club a sense of ownership. Now let's turn to John Hypes. with the Alpharetta Rotary Club. John is a past president of the Alpharetta Rotary Club. In 2011, they were at 72 members. Today, they're at more than 172 members. They've added more than 100 members since 2011. That's pretty remarkable. And their club has really become the destination place in the community. Now, John is a native Hoosier who moved to Georgia in 1983. And like Gene, he's a Wake Forest Demon Deacon alum. That's got to be a record for our MAP webinar, John. 2 Demon Deacons on one program. Now, John, I'm going to get right to it because I think our audience is thinking the same thing I'm thinking. How in the heck do you have 14 years of consecutive growth? That's remarkable. How have you been able to sustain that?
Well, John, thank you for the opportunity to come on and speak on behalf of our club. I think one of the things that really set us apart when we started on this path of growth is we've been very receptive to bringing in young members as prospective members. And that has had a big impact on our club. Younger members have brought in energy, they create vitality. It's changed to some degree the way we dress, our irreverent attitude. So we take our service very seriously, our work very seriously. But as a club, we don't take ourselves too seriously, so that when younger folks walk in, yeah, they are pillars and professionals in our community, but they see folks that look like them and have that same kind of energy and not just an older crowd. And I think that has set us apart.
John, that's a really great point. One of the things that really stands out to me when I look at your club is how quickly you're getting new members right into leadership roles. It's unusual for a big club your size, getting new members in meaningful leadership positions. Can you talk a little bit about how you do that?
Yeah, I think the past presidents and some of the older club hierarchy were very confident with our younger folks in the club. We sort of view a role of a Rotarian is to develop leadership and leadership skills. And some folks come in and immediately you spot someone that you just know is going to be a future president in the club. And we haven't shied away from putting them on the board, advancing them. And 5 of our last 11 presidents were in their mid 30s, if not early 30s, when they were tapped to become club presidents. Our current club president, Paul Slavic, he's 35 years old. And as things would have it, he's a high school classmate of my daughter. And but he does a phenomenal job in leading our club. And it's been part of our success, I believe. It expands our opportunities to grow membership when people come in and they're very comfortable if they're younger leaders in our community.
That really is amazing. John, 35 years old and your daughter's classmate. Now, I want you to take you back in time. I want you to look back at the very start of this 14-year run back in 2011. Can you point to one thing that really helped your onboarding process that clubs could put into practice today?
I think part of it's philosophical. I think you got to, as a club, as a Rotary club, you got to decide who you are as a club. And do you grow your membership as a reflection of who you are, or do you grow your membership as a reflection of who you want to be? And when we had dropped down to 72 members slightly during the recession, we knew that based on our community that we were going to be very welcoming to younger folks coming in and being in leadership, club presidents, et cetera. One club president who was under 40 when he was our president went on to become a district governor shortly thereafter, one of our younger district governors in 6,900, Kirk Driscoll. So I think you take stock in terms of your board and your leadership as a club and say, who do we want to be? Do we want to reflect who we are or reflect who we want to be? And then be intentional about it and when you let the reins loose for other people to assume leadership, what you are actually doing is growing leaders in your community. And I'm proud of what we've done in our club in that regard. So.
Well, thank you, John. That early leadership, putting them in those key roles, it really paying dividends and really helps. Now, I would like to recap some key takeaways from our speakers. First, make your new members feel like VIPs. Second, make sure they're involved from day one. Third, create mentorship programs or sponsorship programs. And fourth, get members engaged early on in leadership roles. Now, I know some of you in the audience are going to have some questions. We're going to bring back our speakers in just a moment. Please put your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of the chat or bottom of the box here. Do not put those in chat because we may lose those questions. Now, Mary Ligdon, our Zone 34 membership coordinator, will give you a few tips about some of our onboarding resources in our Membership Success Center. Mary, take it away for us.
Thank you, John. This month's Membership Success Center, or MSC, tidbit should be really useful to you in helping you understand how a new member onboarding strategy fits into your club's membership planning. That fit is dependent on your club's actual membership situation. What are your club's membership problems to solve? And is onboarding an appropriate solution? Be sure to grab the link in the chat and watch the short video. It's informative, produced by past District Governor Terry Weaver. You may be surprised by what you can learn from just one page on the Membership Success Center. Past Zone 34 Rotary Membership Coordinator Mike Dara will be our Q&A moderator tonight, and he's joined by our guest presenters, Dot, Jean, and John. Here's Mike.
Thanks, Mary. I feel like I ought to be swinging a golf club or something to justify that. So good afternoon. Now we get to hear your questions for our presenters. As John mentioned, you can ask a question of Dot, Jean, or John by using the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. Questions posted in the chat might be missed. So our first question is for John Hypes. John, you mentioned that you regularly choose someone with very little Rotary experience to be the president. You have a big club with a lot of activity. How do you keep continuity with such a stream of very new leaders?
Well, I'm not sure I follow necessarily the question about how do we establish continuity when we see someone that and I can think of numerous people in my club right now who have been in the club for certainly under 3 years, and you just know a leader when you see one. They stand on their own 2 feet. They speak clearly. They show up for service projects. They have ideas, and I think what we have done is we have been more inclined to promote those people through the leadership string than folks who have been in the club for many years. And in doing so, there's so many folks that we could tap to be club president, but by returning time and again to some younger people, and by younger, I mean under 40 in Rotary terms, it creates an atmosphere where when other people come into the club, they see somebody like Paul Slavic standing up there, and they're like, okay, this is somebody I can relate to as a younger person. Certainly don't have any trouble attracting prospective members who are somewhat older. It has been a challenge for some other clubs, I believe, to attract younger folks. And the key is putting them in a position so that when somebody comes in the door, they say, okay, this may be a place for me to spend my time. I'm not just surrounded by people who look like my dad. I'm surrounded by people who I can hang out with. So.
Okay. Thanks. Dot, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
A lot of clubs have talked about having mentors, but the effort flames out after about a year when the mentors don't really follow through. And some expect the proposer to be a mentor, but some proposers just don't seem wired to be a mentor. How does your club make sure that the mentor actually does everything you expect?
Well, first, I think you have to pick the mentor. It could be a sponsor or it could be somebody else in the club. And like you said, sometimes the sponsor is not going to be a good mentor. Not saying anything bad about that. But I think it comes back to the membership committee. We believe in strong committees, especially for membership. And so if your mentors come from the committee and they meet regularly, like once a month, then you could kind of follow the progress of what's going on, just like you would with a business with a new employee.
Okay, thanks. And going along with that theme of membership committees, Jean, you mentioned that your membership chair assigns each new member to a committee that fits their passions. I think you used some term like that.
Yes.
How do you choose your membership chair, and how do they make sure that that committee actually reaches out and engages that new member?
President selects the membership chair, and the president has to get his hands dirty sometimes and just follows up and makes sure that the membership chair is actually doing their job. It's that simple.
Okay. That sounds pretty simple. I'm going back to Dot right now. Dot, somebody wrote in and said, 8 meetings are a lot. And that was 8 meetings before they actually become a member. Am I correct on that, Dot?
That's right.
Okay. How many people aren't able to achieve that?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, I'm going to go back. When I joined 20 years ago, it was a 9-month process. So 8 meetings is pretty easy now. 9 months was really bad. And I'll give you an example. Last year, I invited a young man who had volunteered to participate in one of our festivals, and then he was interested in joining Rotary. And he lived more towards Savannah, which is a pretty good drive for us, and he had young kids at home. And so he came to about 3 meetings, and then he said, it just doesn't work for me. And so I noticed when we just had at that same festival, he was volunteering for that, but he didn't join Rotary. I think we'd rather, if it's not going to fit, we'd rather know that before they join than 2 months in and they drop out. And so, the whole process we go through is to make sure that the person understands what we expect from them and what's good about the club before they join.
Yep. And I can identify with that. John, I've got a question for you. Jamie asked this. I've heard this from a bunch of different clubs, and interestingly enough, it's from clubs that are 25, 85, 115, 177. Is it possible to have too many members in a club?
You'll get 20 different responses to 20 different people who answer that question. You can certainly lose some of your original, character as a club. The bigger you get, you can go from Apple to IBM potentially, and you can still be doing great work in the community. So it depends what your focus is. Is the focus having fun, doing good, making a difference? Is it strictly writing checks? Is it dollar impact? It depends what you're looking for. We have managed in our club, even at 177 members, to really have a good time at our meetings. Our meetings are so different than most Rotary Club meetings I've ever been to. They're a little on the irreverent side. We have a lot of fun, and size has not inhibited us in that regard so far. The struggle is for us older members is just trying to keep up with who's who and what contributions they're making. So.
Sounds good. So Jan asked this question, Jean. She said, do you have any icebreakers? You talked about welcoming, making the new members kind of the focus. Do you have any icebreakers or interactive activities to engage the new members that you might want to share with us?
Well, our current president's really good with that. About every month, we'll do like a club icebreaker. We have 36 members. We have about 22, 23 people show up, and she'll ask us to just do the normal things that everybody's heard of. Write on a sheet of paper something that nobody in the club would know about you. And she has a number of, I guess, different games. And then we go around and we learn, and it's fun, and people get to know things about the other members that they've never heard of. And that makes it a less formal type meeting, and everybody seems to enjoy it. It might be hard to do that if you had 100 members, but when you're a smaller club, you can do that.
Yep. Don, on your side, I know you've spent a lot of time on new members. Is there anything that you do as far as when you get somebody on a committee and somebody's passionate about something, can a committee sometimes just get too big?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think everybody comes into the club with a different point of view. Like, I think John was talking about younger members and older members and more experienced members. And I think if you have a committee that's got different viewpoints and everybody gets a chance to express their viewpoint, then it's a good thing.
Okay. John Hype's got a question for you from Cristiano. What are the potential challenges or risks that a Rotary Club faces when a young Rotarian steps into the role of club president? And how can the club and district effectively support that leader who might be inexperienced so that they have a successful year?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to have support within the club, and whether it's a mentor as a past president for a current president, or a number of people on the board who have some experience that the club president can turn to. I think institutional wisdom supporting the club president, if they're a newer member or a younger new member, is what's key. You know, it all comes down to issue spotting. You don't know what you don't know. So like we start off our year, we do backpacks for North Fulton Community Charities. You know, a club president has to know that that's the very first thing he's going to do about 2 weeks after he takes the gavel. Well, we're there to help remind him and support him that we have those projects up and coming. And so, you know, at the district level, I can't speak to that. I think our district governors have done a fabulous job of supporting all of our presidents. But within the club, I'm very close to my club president, and you know, we never tell our presidents what to do, but we give them some ideas about you know, what some options are on making our club more effective. So.
Okay, thanks. Quick follow-up on that. When you talk about people being involved, John, you've got 177 members. Is every member, are they all on some sort of committee or more than one?
They are not. You know, like every Rotarian, I would love to get that 80-20 support stretched to 30-70, 60-40 would be a grand slam. But that is not the case in our club where they're all on a committee. But we do a tremendous number of grassroots service projects, and use Sign Up Genius for the service projects to enable our members to be engaged. And we have a very, very engaged membership. And one of the things I love talking about new members generally, as opposed to just younger members, is when you see somebody who hasn't even received their red badge yet, and they're out working on service projects. That's really heartening. So.
Okay, thank you. Dot, got a question from Noreen. The key for our Rotary clubs, she says, is building capacity through attracting and forming new members and engaging and retaining all members. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways you've had great success in bringing in those new members, especially younger ones? Is there anything special you've done to target that demographic?
I think there are a couple of things. I think you have to have visibility in the community. So we on social media, but Bluffton's a little town, and we do some festivals. We do an oyster roast. We do a 10-day arts and seafood festival in October. We do a big festival in May. And so we're out there. People know who we are. And when we do a festival, a lot of times we'll have a booth or we'll hand out literature. At our Arts and Seafood Festival in October, they had a Bluffton Rotary tent, and they said they got 18 people who were interested. And so I think being out there, it used to be you'd put stuff in the newspaper, but, sorry, not many people read the newspaper anymore, but you have to have out there, and we make a big difference in our community, and people know about us. So a lot of times they'll just approach us as we're working and say, I'm interested in
So
joining.
it's more the impact that you've got in the community and that interests them and you. Because I've heard of some people, some clubs going out and putting up a booth, and that's kind of the effort they've got.
Well, we do some of that. I mean, we have a couple of retiree communities, and they'll ask us, they'll have some kind of special day and they ask us to come out and do that. But and we always ask our members, we encourage our members to bring in guests, to look to people that they know in the community and ask them to bring guests. But I think the most of it is the outward bound, the fact that people know who we are in the community and they want to be part of that.
Okay. So Gene, I've got a question for you. PDG Andy in Australia asks you this. I can't do his accent, but I will read what he said. He said, excellent best practices. Thanks for sharing. Have any of your 3 clubs, do you have what you consider a companion club? And how do you onboard those members? Do you have a separate process for, it sounds like both you and Dot have a companion club, which is a satellite club that you don't plan to spin off. So correct me if I'm wrong, but is there something special you do on onboarding those folks as compared to your normal, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it normal, your host club?
Yeah, I'll share with you that in a second. I want to go back to the question you asked, John, are all your members on committees? And we're a smaller club, so it's a little easier, but our incoming president is allowed to own the program like the last week of April, first week of May. And we set it up so that all the committee chairs describe what their committee does. And then we ask everyone to sign up for a committee. Then they have a month or so to get familiar with the committee. So the president has the support of people that are already on the committees, have had a little training, and they hit the ground July 1 with a bang. It works for us. And we stole it from another club, a Mount Airy club. It worked for them. It works for us. The onboarding, our district governor actually started, Mark Brandon actually started our satellite club. He's a real extrovert and he's a big golfer. And it was a matter of, he plays a lot of golf. He has a lot of golf friends. And he got together a group of people that said, well, let's have a club where we play golf. They don't meet every week, like once or twice. It's evolved once or twice a month. We'll play in the afternoon. We'll have a meeting. And they just reached out to their friends that are golfers. The club up the road is King, and they started their satellite club based on interest also. I think it's easier to start if you're kind of an interest-based club. They started their club with members of the community that were members of the recreation department or who were friends of the recreation department, and they started off with their projects just being projects helping the local recreation department, and it's grown from there. No big formal difference other than the satellite clubs in our area. The successful ones were really more based on interest.
Okay, Dot, we're running short on time, but anything you can add on your companion satellite club?
Well, we're a satellite club, and I think it started because after COVID, we had a huge influx of people coming into Bluffton, and there was so much more room to have another club, and we only had one club in Bluffton. So the satellite club meets twice a month in the evening. Our club is a morning club, and we found some of our members, especially the younger, a lot of the younger guys who have families and kids and jobs, were having trouble meeting at 7:30 in the morning. So we were very excited to have that option for them to keep them as members. But what we found too is the membership is made up about half of brand new people to Rotary. We picked up some people who used to be in Rotary in North Carolina or some other place, and they've joined the club. And we picked up people who've joined from other Rotary clubs in the area who were having trouble meeting their times. Our club is at 27 members now. We know eventually they might go out on their own, and that's okay. But we felt like there was a big need in the community to have more than one option. So we're just really pleased at how we've grown and what's happening with that club.
That sounds good. John, I've got one last quick question for you. When you talk about your meeting, is it your meeting where people come together, or just describe how many people roughly you get at a meeting and what makes it kind of fun? I know that's tough to do briefly.
Well, I would say there's maybe 130 at the actual meeting itself. That's a guesstimate on my part. I've long since stopped counting chairs and tables, but part of what makes it fun, I suppose, is we arrive for a 7:30 meeting. People are there pretty much at 6:45 in the morning, sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning. We enjoy each other's company, and I think that's a big part of it. And I had a saying back when I was club president in 2008. I was standing up there looking at the room, and I said, this is where club members meet. This is a Rotary club where club members meet. But I said, Rotary happens outside the four walls of this building, and that stands true today. You get to know people. People get the value of their membership when they go out and engage. And if all they do is show up for coffee and breakfast or lunch and dinner, then they probably won't stay around very long. So it's all about culture. Rotary is and will always be tradition, but you got to evolve into what you want to be while holding on to the tradition of Rotary in your club. So,
thanks, John, Dot, Gene. I know I picked up things, and I hope our audience has also picked up a number of things. This concludes our Q&A session. So thanks to both the audience and for Dot, Gene, and John for sharing your experience with us. For our viewers, hold on tight, because we next have the master of slide wizardry, Andy Van Hook, who will share our upcoming programs with you. Andy, what's coming up?
Thank you, Mike. You're far too kind. I also want to thank Dot, John, and Gene for being here today. And Gene, I know you gave Mark Brandon a shout out, and I'm sure that will go straight to his head, as he is a classmate of mine. But he's a great dude. Thank you all for being here this evening. We know our webinars are packed with a lot of great insights. We also recognize sometimes the best ideas come from open dialogue. And that's why we're running the Map Lounge, a casual come-as-you-are Zoom space to further the conversation. The Map Lounge isn't another presentation. It's your opportunity to talk, share, and connect. Whether you have a question, a challenge, or an idea sparked by today's webinar, this is your place to bring it. Think of it like Rotary Fellowship meets a strategy session. Grab a cup of coffee and join us in this Map Lounge for meaningful solution-driven discussion with other passionate Rotary leaders. That would be this coming Saturday, November the 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern. And next month's webinar, Chilling Out with Map, a winter wonderland of ideas, will be filled with interactive breakout sessions. It's happening on Monday, December the 8th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You'll have fresh ideas, real examples, and spark your club, and the spark your club's been waiting for. So make sure to mark your calendar. Also, the MAP team is here to support you every step of the way. You got questions? Maybe some ideas? Scan the QR code on your screen. We'd love to hear from you. So, you're not alone in this journey. We're here for you. Thank you for being with us for this month's MAP webinar. We look forward to seeing you again on December the 8th. Have a great evening.